Hello and thanks for visiting the channel. My name is Frank, Tech Then and Now, and today we're going to cover cloning a hard drive. And this process will back up all your settings, your applications, all your programs. Uh, you name it, your data, your documents, your photographs, your videos. And this will work if you want to upgrade your hard drive. Let's say you have a small hard drive and you're filling it up, so now you got to upgrade it to something larger. We're going to show you how to do that today totally for free, so stay tuned.
Welcome.
And if you would, like and subscribe to the channel. It'll help get this channel off the ground so I could do more videos like this. And if you're interested in fixing engines and home repair kind of things, you can visit my Frankie Fix channel on YouTube. Okay, now for sake of example, let's say you bought a new hard drive. Let's say this is your hard drive you have now, and it's already hooked into your motherboard, and you want to upgrade to an SSD. Well, first you have to make sure that the hard drive, this SSD, is equal to or larger than the one you have in there. That's how it has to be if you want to clone it. So we have a motherboard here, and let's say you want to hook it up. I'm just going to show you how to hook it up using the example motherboard here. A lot of hard drives don't come with the cables typically, so you'd have to get that, and we're going to just plug it in, and you can't make a mistake here because they're keyed. And we would just plug in the data cable there, and then for sake of example, so I didn't have to pull out an entire power supply, this connector here would be coming out of your power supply, and this is a SATA connector, and that's also keyed, so you can't make a mistake there. And we plug in the power. Now we just have to find an open port on your motherboard. So let's say the existing hard drive was on SATA port 1 and we had SATA port 2 open. We could go ahead and plug it into the SATA port 2 connector. Now you do want to make sure that you pick the right port. Some of them don't run at equal speeds. Now you can see on this board, maybe you can see it says 6 gigabits a second. You know, on some motherboards, now this is an older board, the other ports are a bit slower, and they're designating these white ones as the ones that are 6 gigabits a second. So that's just an example there on how to hook up the hard drives. So now that you have that done, we can go into the system BIOS, and we want to make sure first of all that your new hard drive shows up. And so I'm just going to give you an example of what a BIOS looks like, how to get into it, and it's going to vary from different computers, but typically it'd be like delete key or F1 or F12. It really depends. You can look it up, you can Google it for your specific system. Okay, so by hitting the delete key, I'm in the BIOS here. Now again, it could be escape, it could be F1, it could be delete, F12. Usually what I'll do is just cycle through all of those keys until I get to the BIOS. And in my case, it was the delete key. So as you can see in here, you can see it's telling me that my SATA port 1 is the TimeTech drive. And you'll see that the SATA port 2 is the Western Digital drive. Now when I come back to actually doing the cloning, I'm going to be using the actual hard drives. I'm just using these hard drives as an example. My other hard drive is a Kingston and a Patriot. And so that's helpful when you're cloning, because it's going to show you if you have two different hard drives, you're not going to make a mistake, because you can make a mistake where you overwrite actually your drive with your Windows on it with something that's blank, the blank drive, and you don't want to do that because you're not going to be able to boot your computer. So let's assume that this is right. This is what we want, and it looks right. It's detected both of the drives. And the other thing we might be concerned with is the boot order, and that's where you would do this. You would configure the hard drive you want to boot from, and obviously if you already had Windows on a hard drive, it was it's already set to being the boot drive. So you would just be looking at that secondary drive to be listed. So let's just say I want to boot from that one. I don't even have to be concerned about the other hard drive here because you can't boot from two drives at the same time. So then when you are done, you just go over to save and exit and save changes and reboot and press enter. And it's going to ask you, do you want to save the configuration reset? And I just say yes. So let's move on to the next step. So let's get started here. I'm going to direct you how to download a program called Hasleo. And I'm going to bring up my browser. And I'm just going to go to Hasleo.com. And this is completely free Windows backup and cloning software. Now the process of cloning is nothing new. In fact, they use it forensically. Typically, if they take a perpetrator's computer, a suspect's computer, they want to analyze the hard drive. They don't want to analyze the original drive. So they would first make a copy of that, and they would work from that. So this is also used in forensics. Maybe not particularly this software. They have, other softwares that they use, but it's basically the same process. So if you wanted to upgrade your hard drive you currently have, that you have Windows on, and you bought a new one, say you have one of the older hard drives as shown in the picture here, and you want to go with an SSD, then this process would work. So I'm going to go ahead and just click this Learn More, and this will give you some information. So pretty much when you clone your hard drive, it's going to be an exact copy of the original. And so if you swapped them around, you could boot from that copy. There would be nothing else you would have to do. But you just have to make sure that the drive that you're cloning to is larger than the one that you're actually cloning. And here it is here. And I really don't think most of you have an ARM64 system, so it's going to be this x86, x64, and you're going to see the download up here in the top right. And then I'm going to go into my downloads, which in my case is C:, and I'll give you the I'll kind of bring you there from the start here. I'm going to go to this PC. I'm going to go to my C:, users, and Frank, and then under downloads here you're going to see your download. So if that disappears or your browser closes or whatever, don't panic, it's ending up in here. This is where your downloads go. So I'm going to right click on this, and I usually do a run as administrator so there's no issues. And it's going to come up with a little window that says select a language. Let me just close those other things out. And I'm going to pick English. Now, it says that another version of this is installed. That's because I already installed it. Now, apparently, they must have a newer version, so I'll just go ahead and uninstall mine too and go through the install again. Do I want to completely remove it? Sure. So it has to uninstall it first before it can install the one I just downloaded. So now it's coming up and I'm ready to install the newer version. So I'll accept the agreement. You can read it if you're terribly bored. And it's going to show you the path that the program will be installed to. And I'm putting it in C: program files, Hasleo backup suite. And the folder already exists for me. It's not going to exist for you if you haven't downloaded this before, but that's fine. And I'm going to just go with the default option here, create a desktop shortcut. So we've finished our installation, and it's check marked here, launch the backup suite, and we'll just hit finish. and it's going to launch the program. So it says I haven't set a default storage folder for the backup image files. Do you want to set it now? And I'm just going to say no, because with this program you can back up your hard drive as an image to a file as well. And you could, maybe have another hard drive where you have the, let's say you got a data drive here. You would have the, maybe a folder here called images, and you could keep all of your images in that folder. But what I'm doing is I'm going to do a direct clone from one disk to another. So I'm going to pick this option right here, and you could see there's a system clone, disk clone, and a partition clone. So I'm going to go with the disk cloning option. Now this is where you have to be careful, because if you pick the wrong disk, now typically the one that shows first, disk 0, is going to be the drive that you're using now. In other words, the one that has Windows on it. So I would check mark that. Then you would hit next, and then it's going to ask me what location do I want to clone to. So I want to clone to disk 1. Now if you look under my PC, you can see my C drive is my Patriot, and the other drive here, and the reason why it's the same name is I didn't rename it before because I had cloned this yesterday. But you can go to properties and you could just rename it after it's cloned. I'll just call it main drive cloned, just so I know the difference. Because when you make a backup of it, it makes an exact backup, and that's even, it backs up the name of it as well. So you're going to see two of the exact same things here. So don't get confused. The main one's going to be your C drive. So that's the situation there. So I'm going to pick disk 1, which I know is the secondary drive that I have there. I'm going to hit next. And typically you don't have to worry about any of the stuff that's here. You're just going to hit proceed, and it should make an exact copy of the C drive for me. So I'm going to hit proceed, and it's going to warn me that all the data on the selected disk is going to be destroyed. Am I sure I want to continue? And I am sure, because I know that disk 0 was my boot drive and disk 1 is my new drive, let's say. And so I'm going to say yes. So now I will return when this is complete, because this is going to take, it will estimate how much time, but typically this is going to take probably about a half an hour or so. It really depends on the amount of data you have on it. So I'll come back when this is completed. Alright, so we're just checking in on the progress here. And you can see the clone progress. You can see it's telling me how many minutes are remaining, how much elapsed time has gone by, and you could see that it's cloning here, and that's what you want to see. So we'll come back when it's completely done. Alright, so as you can see, it's all done. And you could see it took about 9 minutes, and operation completed successfully. Obviously this time is going to vary, depends on the size of your hard drives. So let's get out of here and go into my computer here, and you can see what it's done. It's made an exact copy. Here's the original. We had roughly a 500 gigabyte hard drive, and it's made an exact copy here. Now the numbers are a little different here, not sure why, but they are exact copies. It could have been because I was doing a few things which you really shouldn't do while it was cloning. I mean, you can, but if you make any changes to anything, you create a temp file or something like that, those numbers might change. But overall, it did make the clone. So that is the cloning software. It's again, be very careful when you're cloning that you don't take your blank drive that you just purchased and overwrite your boot drive. For this example, I'm using the Patriot drive. They're 2 SSDs, And what I do is I just come in, every couple days if I do some work, create some videos or I create some thumbnails or whatever I'm doing. I want to back that up again. So I'll just run this and have it clone the drive. Now, if anything fails on my C drive doesn't boot, I can basically just swap the disk, go into the BIOS like I had showed you, set this drive here as the boot drive, and it should boot up as normal right into your Windows. Alright, that's it for the disk cloning tutorial. I hope I provided enough information to make you feel comfortable in doing it yourself. It's really not that hard. You don't always have to set your boot drive at all because you're already booting from your boot drive. I just wanted to show you the BIOS, give you an example of what the BIOS looks like, and if you had to, after you cloned, if something happened to your source drive, you would have to set the BIOS boot order. So you'd flip your hard drive around, remove that one that's not working anymore, flip it to the one that you cloned to, and then set the boot drive to that drive, and you shouldn't have any problem at all. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. Get this channel going. I can do more videos like this, and we'll see you on the next one.
Goodbye.